Breaking the Cycle to Step Forward. Authentic conversations from lived experience and a professional perspective in overcoming abuse with Chris and Beverley Ann.
Hello and welcome to Breaking the Cycle to Step Forward with myself, Beverley Ann, and my lovely co-host.
Hi everyone, Chris here. Hope you're all well.
If I'm a bit quieter, it's because I have had that awful cold that's been going around and I've been gifted that. I am at the end, but sometimes the body leaves you feeling a little bit tired and delicate. So Chris, we're doing a January Q&A today to start the year off. And this question that came in was actually quite prolific, actually. And it's how do we deal with, major things that come up in our life? We're obviously talking about recovery and healing and self-care, but life happens. And not all of the things are horrible that happen, but there's still big changes in our lives. And that can sort of take the wind out of ourselves a little bit at times. So what are your thoughts on it, Chris?
So a couple of things I've been writing down before we went live and just while you were talking there. So I would like to answer this question in a couple of different ways under different headings. So looking at like health, because you're not very well at the moment. I am also impacted, but because of the menopause that I'm going through. Jobs stroke careers, our kids growing up and going off and how that makes you feel. And so I would like to sort of like answer, how do we deal with those big life changes from those perspectives or through the lens of those headings, if I may?
Absolutely. And I think, that doesn't cover every eventuality, but hopefully anyone listening or watching can get an understanding for themselves because, sometimes things happen, like, as you said, my health, I look after myself. I'm very self-aware, but my health has taken a bit of a battering lately. And so I really have to look at myself. Is there anything additional that I can do? And sometimes it's about acknowledging it as well, because first thing I said to you, and it's actually making me reflect now we're doing the recording, is how frustrated I am with it. But there again, it's like, where's the frustration? Is it because I can't do all the things that I normally do? And actually, maybe it's time to say, okay, my body's telling me it needs to do a lot less. So accept it and do a lot less.
For this short period of time whilst you're properly recovering,
Yeah. So it is amazing how, even though we know about recovery, etc., it's only until we start speaking to each other or other people that it's like, oh, yes, maybe it's your body saying it's time to take a break. And today I need to change my bed. I want to change my bed and I'm going to have a nice bath. And I'll probably just get back into bed because the weather is vile. I think it's a day of good food, rest. I don't fancy being on the settee today. I want to be in my bed.
Oh, bless you.
What about you with regards to health, Chris? Because obviously you'll go through the menopause.
Yeah, and I was just going to ask you where you are on that, because even when people say they're post-menopause, they still have a decline in hormones, which can impact their everyday life. And I'll come back to you and ask you, maybe is some of what you are dealing with still that? So for me, I'm actually doing, to just give a little bit of background, I've been delivering health, wellbeing and fitness in the local community since 2003 after my breakdown at work, and I retrained as a health and wellness coach. I've become trauma informed over the years because of all the work that we've been doing. But I was diagnosed with complex PTSD when I was going through the criminal justice system between 2016 and 2022. And some of the symptoms of complex PTSD mirror the menopause, right? So when I was then doing or going through complex PTSD and being triggered and not sleeping very well and emotional eating and putting on weight and it was also compounded by the fact that I was of age going through the perimenopause and the symptoms are the same. And the thing is, you deal with perimenopausal symptoms the same as you would deal with just being healthy and well through healthy habits, stress management, sleep hygiene, self-care, all of the things that we've ever spoken about, okay? But I was at a place where I really didn't know what was going on for me. All I know is that I had this increased anxiety, and I've got it now as I'm speaking to you, where I feel like someone's got their hands around my throat and just really restricting my breathing. And this is a symptom of my past trauma. Not that anyone's ever strangled me, but it's the silencing and not being able to get my words out. So this is a feeling of my past traumas and my triggers, but also because of the decline of sex hormones, especially estrogen, it also can really increase anxiety levels. So for me, being a health and wellness coach and learning about the different stages of life, especially for females, it really came as not a shock or a surprise, but oh, it's that as well as that. And maybe less of that now because I've dealt with that in counselling, but more of this. And then obviously that's led me on to a journey of having blood tests done and getting hormones put back into my body so that I can try and lessen my symptoms. So this is a big life change for me because I didn't think that I would be impacted the way that I am. Because the way that it shows up for me is I'm in front of people all the time, teaching them classes, informing them about their health and well-being, trying to impart knowledge and understanding of what they may be going through and who they may need to get help from. And when I'm stumbling over my words and my brain goes blank and I can't think of the word, it makes me feel a little bit humiliated. It makes me feel like I don't know my stuff, but I do, but I just can't get it across because of the brain fog and the lapses in memory that I've been dealing with. And so I've got a strategy that I've put in place where I just go, oh, menopausal moment. Or I might be at the front of the class, everybody else is freezing and I'm having that hot flush, Bev. And I'm literally taking my clothes off as quickly as I can, being like modest as well, making sure that I am covered. But like, I'm really hot and they're all going, oh, I'm really cold. And I'm like, I'm not, I'm hot. So it's dealing with all of that. And, for some women, they can breeze through the perimenopause and postmenopause, but others, we are so impacted that it can literally stop us socializing, working, and all of this malarkey. So all of that new knowledge that I'm getting from doing my qualification over here is helping me address my here and now, and also helping me with, help other people. So that is one of the biggest life changes for me, not only in my personal life, but also in my professional life, because going forward, I'm going to be working in this field of menopause and one-to-one and small group help.
And thank you for your honesty there, because one of the things you asked me about, where am I? And I'm postmenopausal. Mm-hmm. However, I remember, for me, the physical aspect of being perimenopausal impacted me in a different way. That at first we thought there was ovarian cancer. That's how it was showing up. But it didn't, and I did have to have a procedure, and bless you, I did have to have a procedure, which meant that it brought my menopause forward, which also was a relief. But for me, it was the emotional side of it.
Yeah.
It's the ending, it was the grieving, and, it was knowing that as much as you make a choice not to have more children, for me back then, it was, I could deal with the physicality of the menopause. It was more the emotional, coming to the end of who am I? And with my children being older and different things happening, I knew, my role as a mum, I understood and I was passionate about, but now it meant that my young children were becoming young adults or were young adults and didn't need me. And where does that leave me as a mum?
Yeah.
A role that I've taken very seriously. It has been challenging. Being a parent, whether what role you take on, is challenging, and it is, from the time they're born, it's a process that we have to be aware of letting go. But suddenly it was like, who am I?
Mm-hmm.
And that's suddenly shone the light on me in a different way. So I think the emotional part of menopause for me, I've been dealing with that for a long time, because that came alongside also some of my own personal healing with attachment, etc., and abandonment.
Yeah.
But I think one of the frustrations I still have, and the physicality I have, I know that feeling of the flushes or the internal heating, and it's not like you can turn it down. And I will actually say that I embrace winter now to a certain extent, and I've always been a summer person. I embrace winter in the fact that I can wear a jumper, but I still have to wear like a vest or something underneath it. So if I'm wearing a jumper like this, I have to be able to remove it with dignity in whatever environment. I want to open the doors. I love fresh air anyway. So for me, to help regulate myself physically with those, I have looked at other things such as cold water, saunas. I love being outside, so I walk my dog early in the day, and I'm very aware in January. January is always a challenging month for me. And I think that is emotional because it comes after the Christmas month. And it's something I've mentioned before. I find, especially at the beginning of December, with the upcoming thoughts of Christmas, I find that particularly challenging, and I really have to look after myself emotionally. And I do. And I think combined with Christmas and all that it brings, and for me, it is about, it highlights the Christmases that I haven't had, but also the people that I'm not with. We spoke about this last year, so I'm very aware of it. But that, it's like grief. Grief is something you learn to live with. And I'm not saying I didn't have a nice Christmas. Of course I did. I made it. I asked myself, what does Christmas look like for you? But that doesn't mean to say I don't have that time where it's very emotive. And then, although I watch what I eat, Christmas time, there's a lot of sugar. And hence, that's a big part of why I've become ill as well, because it's not good for your immunity. So I've got several different ways there that it impacts me, and I'm very aware of it. So that's why today and the next few days, it will be really, come on, really let go of it. Let go of the frustration. You were hoping to be a lot better. You're not, but at least we understand what we have available, what's in our toolbox.
Yeah. I think also this time of year, being the beginning of January, this will probably come out mid-January, but it's also taking stock of, those New Year's resolutions. And if you have put on weight for whatever reason, and mine is menopausal and emotional eating because of the stuff I was dealing with and going through, it's almost like there is this a big ask of yourself that, you've got to lose that weight going forwards. But it's not, doing this menopausal training, it's not just about, eating less, working out more. It's about optimal nutrition, and it's about being kind to yourself and doing the right exercise for where you are in life and how you're feeling on a day-to-day basis. So it's about more of an informed and strategy way of dealing with not only the post-traumatic stress when it kicks up, because it's kicked up for me and I'll share in a moment, but also dealing with, you know, the meno belly and the not fitting into your clothes, and you want to look and be the best you can be because you are looked at by other people, especially if you're in the health and wellness industry. You know, they expect everybody to be slim, and there's a lot of pressure. And I'm not saying there's not a lot of pressure for everybody, but it's just like when you're not feeling so great because of PTSD and the menopause and this and that, and you've got to be there for other people, and you know you've got to start with yourself, because we've shared with everybody that self-care is the most important. It's just, and having that downtime as well, Bev, because I'll share now, because my son has just left to go travelling for a year, it has brought up so much for me. The last 6 weeks, I knew he was going, and of course I want him to go and spread his wings and be happy and all of that. But for me, it's like an ending.
Yeah.
And even though I'm happy for him, I'm also very sad for me. And I don't know how to deal with these feelings that I'm feeling, right? So the only way I've dealt with it over the last couple of days is to keep busy. Now, I don't want to be this busy, but I have to do it. Otherwise, I'm going to sit there and mope and be emotional and feel disempowered. Whereas I've got on and done stuff today, and it feels empowering to me. But at the same time, I've still got all of this emotion that is just sitting there, bubbling away. And I think it's going to just take time to settle, and I've got to acknowledge it, and I've got to work with it rather than, as you said, suppress it. So dealing with these big life changes, it ain't always easy, Pete.
Absolutely not. But this is where, you know, as I always say, it's about break it down and make it simple. The most important thing is bring it back to self as well.
Yeah.
Because when the storm's happening all around you, and to be honest, that's what I'm doing in a way today. I mean, the weather's horrible. I can't go outside. I can't do some of the things that makes me feel good. So actually, the storm is happening. I'm actually what can I do for me today, right now? And I think wherever you are, and whoever's listening, wherever you are, think about this. Sometimes we have to think, okay, let's not think about tomorrow. Let's not think about yesterday. Where am I today? What do I need? I know I need good food. I need a lovely hot bath. I want bed. And without pushing your buttons, I'm not going to ask you anything, but I'd like you, Chris, to think about, what does Chris want? And that's not what anybody else wants. And that's where it's, you know, we cope because when we want to push down some emotions, it's easy to use our survival instincts. It's easy to distract ourselves with fitness, with working, with cleaning. I mean, it's a new year. I want to have cleaned my house top to bottom. But actually, you know what? Let it go. And the other thing is we need to let go of is our self-judgment. Because I heard in your words as well, and we all do this, oh, because we're here, this is the expectation of others. And that word should is expectation of others. Whereas actually, you know what? Yeah, I am a bigger size. I'm going to share. I'm a size 16. That's the biggest I've ever been. But what I've actually done, and I did this several months ago, I've taken out all different sizes, and I've actually got rid of those clothes and moved them forward. Yeah. Because I want to be the best I can be today.
For now.
For now. Yeah. And some of the size 12s I was keeping, that was for then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Move them on, let somebody else. And funny enough, I saw one of the dresses in the local charity shop, and I was like, I really like that dress. And I was like, yeah, you did, and you still do. Yeah. But it's not for you right now, right here. Look at where you are today.
Yeah. And how your body served you for now.
Absolutely. And someone who's now post-menopausal, you know, one thing I can say to anyone who's going through it is, no, some symptoms haven't changed. You know, the sweats have been with me for years. I have made a decision. I did go on hormone replacement for a short while. I didn't want to continue with that. It didn't really serve me. So I'd rather be as natural as possible. That's my choice. So ask around. There are
Yeah.
different things I take, and I do look after myself with different vitamins, etc. And I've learned to find a way with, for me, having a towel enables me to sweat, but also sleep.
Yeah.
But what's wonderful is I can see that the things I feared most about menopause, actually, I'm still a parent. I haven't lost that role. It's
Yeah.
redefined itself in some ways, and like you, letting go of a child to travel abroad. Oh, it is hard. Once we are able to stand at the cold face, let those emotions come out. The hardest part for me, but then is like, well, what does Beverley want? And I've been able to change everything and do that. And even now, being older, this year I've changed my role in my work experience, which I absolutely love. So I do think it's important that we take these times that are challenging and we actually just sit in it and remind ourselves, what is it we want? Because even though I've made a big change in my life with work, this time of the year makes me reflect. I don't personally sit there thinking, I'm going to do this. What I do, I think about, what one word would you like to bring into your year this year?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And for me, it's not about resolutions. It's about I feel that I want more support.
Mm-hmm.
So my word this year is support, because I support lots of other people. I want more support. And that for me includes, I've been acknowledged, diagnosed as dyslexic. Yes, I can study because I've learned how to do it, but actually I need to take that time to follow up and get that additional support that I'm due, and it will make it
Yeah.
easier for me. And I won't have to keep trying so hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Going on, sorry.
no, I was going to say, if you felt able to, after hearing some of those things, is there anything that Chris would like for herself this year?
Say that again.
Is there anything that Chris, yourself, would like for this year?
What the word?
Yeah,
The word that just jumps out to me all the time, because it's not happened to the rate that I want to see it in 2024, is change. And that can mean multiple things depending on what perspective I'm looking at the word through.
yeah.
Bit cryptic, but I'll leave that there.
No, that's fine. Thank you. And one thing I'll say to anybody else, if they're the same, that some of that change has to come from us as well.
Yeah.
So when we
100%.
had that word, that's fantastic. Keep that word there, but keep bringing it back to yourself as well, in a positive way, not to degenerate yourself in any way, but it's like, okay, am I doing the same thing the same way all the time? Or is there something different I can do?
Yeah. So I was just going to elaborate on your career change, because for me, I've not changed my career, but there's a couple of things that I was involved in that have come to an end. And I have also found, obviously, that was change, but I found those endings quite difficult to deal with. As in, it gave me a bit of structure, it gave me a sense of identity, it gave me a feeling of being supported and connecting to like-minded people doing important work. When that ended, those relationships haven't ended, but those relationships have seemed to have stopped because you're not involved in the level of work that you were involved in, me. So for me, that's been a hard one to deal with, because my identity for the last 10 years has been wrapped up in this deep, in-depth work that's led to a lot of activism, a lot of campaigning. And even though that's not stopped, it's changed because I feel like I'm on my own again. And I don't like being on my own. I like to feel supported and in with a team of people doing something positive. So that's been a big life change for me again. And I'm trying to find my feet with all of this as well going forward. So even though it's scary, there is also opportunity. that's how I'm trying to look at it. I'm trying to look at it from being an anxious time to actually, well, it's also an opportunity time. So let's see what 2025 brings. Life
Yeah.
changes, eh?
And Chris, what's fantastic, listening to your honesty, it helps me reflect as well. And that's, anybody listening, we really like to hear your thoughts as well, because we all do it. We get busy, we internalize. I know that I have two facades of me. I have Beverley, here I am, and I can, nothing phases me. And then I have the other side of me that's very introverted,
Yeah.
that needs that time to self-reflect, to also think, whoa, hold on, let me just slow life down a little bit. It's all become a bit overwhelming. I need that time to just be on my own. And, I always think of it as having two properties. One in the city, yes, fantastic, it's fast moving. And years ago, I'd always want to stay in the city. Whereas now, I've always liked that. Well, even then, I've always liked to get away as well. Whereas now it's reversed. I get away more and revisit the city, but it took a while to adjust to that.
Yeah.
But now it's about bringing it back. And I do say, bring it back to where you are today. And really, when you find that space, like today when I'll be in bed, I won't push it. But then I might think, oh, I'll do a bit of journaling, or I've got a new book for the year. And it opened my mind. And it's like, open your mind. And anyone listening, open your mind. Even dare to dream of things that, like, you see someone on TV and you think, oh, I'd love to do what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's like you and me, we do this podcast, which is fantastic, but how great if somebody was actually listening and they said, right, Chris, Beverley, we want to put you on radio, or we want to put you on TV.
Yeah.
And
or here's £100,000 to help with your podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. So and that's okay. It might not come in that way, but it's good to dream. It's good to have had that. And I don't know about you, even as I said it, my heart's beating, because part of me is like, oh, that's bloody scary, because how would I cope? And I'm not thinking about that. But actually, it's exciting to think, oh, I wonder how that would look at. And even feeling ill, that's making me feel better.
Yeah.
So
we can dream, can't we?
Absolutely. And it's so important with change, because change is scary. Let's be frank.
Yeah.
Even when we know something's coming to an end, it's scary. But life is about evolving. Life is about changing. But it doesn't have to be because it's all scary.
Yeah.
So you
bringing
also,
it back.
because you also had another part there. What was the third part?
Oh, we want to talk about health, jobs, careers, menopause, and kids growing up leaving us.
Oh, we think we're going to do it in sections, and we've done it in entirety. But that isn't that life, though? You think it's just that bit or that bit, but it's all intertwined.
Yeah, it is.
And one of the things, as a parent, and I am going to be brutally honest here, as a parent, there are times when, you think, like I've felt that, oh, what must people think of me? And I've said this before, I've been to parenting classes, it's like, I was so worried about, what am I doing so wrong? Because I was getting a lot of criticism from people, and it was unjustified, but that doesn't matter. I was still getting the criticism. And that had a huge impact on my relationship with both of my children in different ways. And do you know what, though? The fabulous thing is, as challenging as it's been, one of the things I think is so important is the honesty, and learning the courage to be vulnerable, to say, you know what, I'm a human being.
Mm-hmm.
I've done my best, and that's what we're doing today. So, my message today is to my children. It's to everyone listening, but also it's about listening to myself, which is so important. Any thoughts from you there, Chris?
yeah, I was just going to go back on the question, how do we deal with big life changes? There's no easy answer, and we just navigate it the best we can, just as Bev explained in a monologue just a moment ago. You know, that we just do our best. That's all we can do.
Yeah, you know, and that's why for me, support is my word for this year, because it's been balanced for years where I've wanted balance and self-regulate. But actually, when I thought about it, I thought support Beverley, because when I went to a retreat this year, I absolutely loved it. And at the end of the retreat, I was actually quite emotional and very sad. And it was really amazing. It was like, oh, but I like being here. It's not that I didn't want to return to my world, my life, because I did. I questioned that, and I was able to say, yeah, I do. And it was like, so what is it that you're upset about? And I was like, I've loved the support. I've loved the nurturing. Okay. And that's where this one's gone from, because maybe I need some additional support this year that I haven't had for the last few years. Maybe I need to be aware of where I need to support myself, because when we get busy, the first thing we do is, oh, I won't do that because I'm busy. I'll do that later.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what are you going to do for yourself today, Chris?
I'm going to finish my work, because that makes me feel like I've done something productive, and then I won't sit there getting anxious about it not being done.
Yeah.
So once I've ticked off the 3 things that I want to do, then I'm like, right, okay, pack up for the day and just go and sit and do nothing. But I'm also going to go out in the horrible weather that we've got and go for a dog walk.
Lovely, lovely. So as ever, anyone listening or watching, we'd love to hear your thoughts. You know, email us if some of your thoughts you don't want to put underneath in the comments to either the podcast or the video that you're watching. You can contact us on BreakingTheCycleToStepForward @gmail.com. If we've said something and you're like, oh, actually, I don't quite understand that, ask us. We'll come back to you. Okay. And Chris, you start a new survivors support group soon, don't you? Your 8-week
Yes, we do.
South London.
Southeast London and Bellingham, yeah. That starts on Saturday the 18th, if I've got my dates right. Yeah, Saturday the 18th. Menopausal moment, Pete, so I have to double check everything, but no, it's Saturday the 18th for 8 weeks.
And for anybody that would be interested in looking at a funded place, again, you can email us or go onto the link of Survivors of Abuse, which is always underneath, and contact Chris that way.
Yeah.
And just on that note, my face is getting nice and red, so I think it's time to say goodbye to everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.